Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of TalkingWithHeroes.com in Kalsu, Iraq. We're still with the 3rd Heavy Brigade Combat Team, 3rd Infantry Division at Fort Bennings, and we just completed a little tour of Sledgehammer Chapel here at Kalsu, Iraq, and now we're going to be talking with Chaplain Major David Lile. Welcome, sir, back to TalkingWithHeroes.com.
Appreciate the opportunity, sir.
It's an honor to be here. If you could just kind of look in the camera and just share a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your military career, and where you're from.
David Lile, as you heard, grew up born and raised in the great state of Kentucky. Russellville, about 17 miles as the crow flies north of Fort Campbell. Came out of a United Methodist, a split family. My dad was a United Methodist pastor. Mom was a good Southern Baptist, so I've worked through that all my years. Did all my education in Kentucky through the high school. Ended up at Duke and seminary, and then back into the conference as a pastor. And then 7 years later, came on active duty, and this is my 13th year as a chaplain. Finished 13 year, I'm in my 14th year. So, as far as ministry goes, this is my first shot at being a brigade chaplain, so it's been a great thrill.
Okay, so it's been nice to see you are the brigade chaplain.
In our brigade, we've had an opportunity to have a couple of attachments, 5 priests, 3 that have been resident, 2 that have been resident, and then we have our 6 battalion, or 5 battalion, 1 squadron chaplain.
Okay. Talk about your ministry here. Maybe talk about some of your different spiritual services and what you do here.
Here at Kalsu, it's the hub is where our headquarters is, the command. So I reside here with the brigade chaplain assistant. We supervise 3 chaplain teams here, and then 1 at Echo, 1 at Delta. Our ministries have been formed along the line of making sure we have a solid lineup on Sunday morning of at least a Catholic worship opportunity. Since we're short on priests, sometimes it's a liturgy of the Word and not always the full Mass. We'll always have a general Protestant service at each one of those locations. Also, we'll have a gospel service, some flavor at each one of the locations as well. Those tend to be that. We've noticed this year the better of 10, up to 140 here, up to 90 over at Delta, and then we have a good contemporary worship and praise down in Echo. During the week, our commander has encouraged us to focus on, again, predictability and offerings that are steady for a very mobile mission. Every Tuesday and every Thursday, one will have a relationship enhancement night, and then the other will have focus on moral leadership development. So on the relationship enhancement, we'll work with everybody from a Mark Gungor on Laugh Your Way to a Better Marriage to the 5 love languages to any of the Building Strong and Ready family material. On the moral leadership development nights, we'll offer Bible studies across the 5 provinces to specifics on certain topics of moral leadership. It could be integrity, honesty. One of our chaplains that you probably heard preach this morning, he did one on Everybody Loves Raymond, and he would take episodes and show up for 30 minutes, and believe it or not, would pull out all of these incredibly great topics. We've done the Fireproof series that really resonated about halfway through, and now we're trying to kind of push back, kind of focus on things that are going to be tough for reintegration. It's easy to lose a homecoming. We've been out here. It's got a good living in some ways. You got your laundry done. You got your meals. You got great PT. You wake up in the morning. Somebody's telling you what to do. You go home. You integrate in. My wife has her idea on what she wants me to do. My kids are definitely going to have their ideas on how my time goes. So a lot of our emphasis now is pushing toward whatever it's going to take to get our soldiers to think back into homes. So that's our worship, and that's our study opportunities. We also have counseling. We have a family life chaplain that's at the division level that does train us to do certain types of specifics in group counsel. Most of it's individual counsel, and we also have the big assist program that helps with the suicide prevention. But that's kind of the outline of the shell of the week, and then each one of our chaplains has a unit responsibility of doing staff work. Everybody loves staff work, meetings, meeting with commanders, the ceremonial prayers, invocations. In my 13 years, I've prayed for everything from an animal funeral to an opening of a soccer field to blessing here. I think one of the most interesting things was our hand-to-hand combat tournament. I couldn't find a text, and I thought, iron sharpens iron. We always use that spiritually. This time I'm going to do it in the physical sense. I think you would be very pleased to see what your religious support teams, how deeply they get ingrained with the fabric of it.
Why do you call it Sledgehammer Chapel?
Sledgehammer is the moniker that we have taken on as a brigade. Nothing fancy, just tough. While we place it on the chapel, is there is a Army regulation that you can't name chapel specifically after a person for various and sundry reasons. And because Kalsu was named after Bob Kalsu, the only NFL player that died in the Vietnam War, then we had to look back on naming the chapel and make sure we just didn't get into any irregularities and anything. So Sledgehammer Chapel will be the name over the portal for the next month, and I'm sure when the third ACR comes in, they will do a handoff to their.
I didn't know that about Kalsu. I appreciate you sharing it. And chaplains I was with in Afghanistan, did a lot of traveling, you went to outposts, counseling there. What else is there? Do you need something that too?
Yes, sir. We had 10 posts when we got here, so our Echo chaplain would cover down on the Endeavor mission. So he would go out every Monday and Tuesday without giving specifics, and he'd make sure that Protestant coverage was carried on there. And then with our priest, when he would link up with him, we'd take him out for Mass there. Our 269 chaplain was in charge of Mahawil, Hamiya, Husaniya, and I'm sure Eric can give you all kinds of details on living out in the good land. He also has troops here in Kalsu, so he would do his battlefield circulation, or BFC, on a once every 2-week basis. He'd spend 2 weeks out doing that, and he'd come back here for 2 weeks. And then our 3-1 Cav chaplain had Zulu and Shocker out on the Iranian border, so he would go out there weekly, correction, every 2 weeks. And then myself, I go to each one of those locations throughout the month. I had big plans to get out there every month, but when you see the modes of transportation that you've seen over the last 4 years or 4 deployments, it's not as easy.
Okay. We're going to go to another segment here. We're actually putting all these on YouTube, so we have to do shorter segments.
Oh.
So, folks, we're going to come back here with more with Chaplain Major David Lile here on TalkingWithHeroes.com in Sledgehammer Chapel in Kalsu, Iraq.